Good evening to everyone. I'm Rosli from Melaka. I'm born in Kampung Bahru Behrang Station, the most beautiful and cool new village in Malaysia, because the name is Behrang, which means mainland, mainland. Mainland, Sinchun. All right. Listings of a new village of Malaysia in the National Heritage List and UNESCO World Heritage Sites. So the answer for both is yes. So let's begin with our National Heritage Act. Okay. How to go to first slide? Okay. Okay. National Heritage Act, Akta Warisan Kebangsaan 2005. It's very straightforward. Clause 67, Declaration of National Heritage. The Minister may, by order published in the Gazette, declare any heritage site, heritage object, underwater cultural heritage listed in the register or any living person as a national heritage. Living person means national, living person as national heritage. So national heritage will provide two status, either national heritage status or heritage status. But most of the privately owned property, they prefer listed as heritage instead of national heritage because of the strict guideline for any development for those sites listed as national heritage. But for heritage status, we allow them to actually develop as per the guidelines. So in clause 2, sub 2, in making a declaration under subsection 1 above, the minister may consider the historical importance, the aesthetic, this is more on architecture and planning, the scientific or technical innovation or achievement, the social and cultural association, whether it is very important in terms of social history and culturally important. But based on the previous presentation, our Kampung Baru or New Village have all. Yeah, it depends on the different new village have different significance. So the word is significant. So to be inscribed as national heritage, any site should be very significant in terms of national history or culturally important to our heritage, or very important in terms of social history. Okay, or combination of all. So unfortunately, we could not inscribe Malaysian Kampung Baru or New Villages as one single site. We cannot lump all. Why? Because this land belong to land matter, state matter in Federated Malaysia. So different states will have different domestic law and different guidelines on gazetting any site. So for the case of our new villages, we need to actually submit the nomination separately to Department of National Heritage, who later will submit the proposal to the state party, to different states. So state will actually discuss that through their state planning committee, and later to be discussed in state exco to be finally say yes or no. All right. So, but we could always have extension. So what is important here is the boundary. But we could always enlarge the boundary. We don't have to be very ambitious to actually to get all the new villages gazetted as one, but we can go one by one. So what is important now to actually to convince National Heritage Department that our Kampung Baru is actually very important in terms of history or culturally important. Once we've done that, it's easier for other new villages to be inscribed on National Heritage Register. So I skip this one. So 69, this is important. As national heritage, which is owned or possessed by a person, then the federal government or the state government may remain in the possession of its owner, custodian, or trustee. So don't worry, ownership still belong to the owner. Whether if we gazette the house still belong to the owner. If we gazette the entire village, the village still belong to the owner of the land, whether the individual or the state party. So don't worry, right? Even we could change the ownerships, but provided that we need to inform Department of National Heritage because they need to keep track the new owner. Okay. 74, where the sale is affected pursuant to paragraph 1B, the owner, custodian, or trustee and purchaser shall inform in writing to the commissioner within 30 days after the change in ownership, and the commissioner shall cause to be made the necessary amendment in the register. So even to sell our property, so that did not affect the status as national heritage. But we need to inform commissioner because they need to keep track who own the property now. Only that. So don't worry. But different with the process for World Heritage listing. This is example of dossier or the nomination document for Lenggong. This is the main document, but supported by a long list of other supporting documents like archival material, maps, videos, old pictures, etc., just to support the nomination. But what is the most important is the title, whether that fulfill the significant or the outstanding universal value. Right? We check one by one. So we have 10 criteria that qualify any site to be inscribed on the World Heritage List. At least we need to fulfill one. One is good enough, right? Right. So we skip this one. So convention means law, UNESCO law, yeah? Convention concerning the protection of the world cultural and natural heritage, 1972. And this law, this convention followed with strict guideline on the management of the site once it's described as World Heritage Sites. So we skip this one. So to qualify for the World Heritage listing, the site should be an outstanding universal value. It should be world significant in terms of world history, authentic, original, and integrity. It's still intact in terms of the planning, the houses. But since New Villages is actually a living town, living village, UNESCO allowed the guideline allowed for development. But we need to confirm to follow the guidelines. Maybe we could change the timber house to brick house, no problem. But because the new village still remain as a housing area, as village, as town. But maybe we could not convert that to maybe to commercial. That maybe again the guideline. Who prepared the guideline? We ourselves prepared the guideline. The so-called the conservation management plan of the World Heritage Site. We prepare the guideline. We submit the guideline to UNESCO. That is our commitment to UNESCO to manage the site. So don't worry. We prepare the guideline as long as the guideline will convince ICOMOS International to actually to support our nomination. So ICOMOS is very important. All right. Yeah. So all these guidelines and criteria actually we could download from UNESCO site a personal guideline for the implementation of the World Heritage Convention. So they have detailed procedures on how to submit a site for UNESCO listing and also general guideline on the management of the site. So what will we get? Pengitrafan, recognition from world organization. This is very important. Every country in the world actually fighting to get their site to be inscribed as World Heritage Site. Okay, for future research by researchers around the world, for economic benefit through tourism. Expert will come to help us to do more research, funding from UNESCO for research and etc. And of course, once we inscribe the site as World Heritage Site, we will sure protect the site as it is. Okay, so I skip this one. You know this, and City of Bah, we skip this one. Very significant. This could be one example. The architectural work of Corbusier, an outstanding contribution to the modern movement. This is to inscribe the work of Corbusier, architect, as World Heritage Site. So his building located in 17 different countries. Okay, so the nomination involve cross-border, the so-called cross-border nomination that will follow different domestic law. So, but we could submit that as one title and one site, single site. But this one require a coordinated management plan to actually to manage the Corbusier work in 17 different countries, 17 different sites. So that could be for our new villages as well, right? A total of 400 villages in Malaysia, say combined as one site as Malaysian New Village. But we can't do that for national heritage, because national heritage we need to get that one by one. But for UNESCO, no problem. We could combine as one. This what we understand as serial nomination. Kathmandu Valley, for example, Kathmandu Valley is a huge area which combines 17 sites. 17 sites in Kathmandu Valley. This is cluster of sites in one big valley. So cluster of sites as UNESCO property, or the core zone, and the entire valley as buffer zone. So do we have buffer zone for national village? Kampung Baru, Malaysian New Village. Yeah, we need buffer zone. So for the nomination process, so what we should do now is to fill in the tentative list. This is a very straightforward tentative list, few pages form. To prepare the dossier will take years to prepare, because Melaka and Georgetown took 20 years to prepare our nomination, 20 years to prepare the cities to convince the public to support the nomination, right? Because under a National Heritage Act, we need to get permission from every single landowner. But unlike Akta Perancang Bandar, Act 172 for Planning Act, we could actually gazette or extract the site as conservation area under blanket, right? We don't need to get permission from everyone, but just maybe you know better, right? Okay, so that's different. So dossier, nomination dossier, and after we submit the dossier to UNESCO office in Paris, within 18 months, UNESCO will send their mission to evaluate the site. If it is cultural site, they will send ICOMOS expert. See, ICOMOS is very important, because ICOMOS will be advisor to UNESCO for World Heritage inscription. All right, or IUCN for natural site. Okay, then result. But the inscription is not the end of the stories. Okay, we skip this one. We skip this one. So inscribing a site on the World Heritage List is not the end of the story. Okay, that's the beginning of our challenging period. Site managers, local authorities involved continually work managing, monitoring, and preserving the World Heritage properties. So we need to monitor and to submit report to UNESCO on the condition, on the conservation status of the site, regular reporting of the etc. So every 6 years, UNESCO will send the expert to assess the condition of the site every 6 years. We call it monitoring. Yeah, right. So I would way forward. What's supposed to be to do? What we supposed to do now? Keputusan PBN pihak berkuasa negeri, the state authority. So we skip that one first. What we should be supposed to do now is to establish a working group. We already have the working group now. This is our working group, and to submit the tentative list, a few pages form to be submitted to UNESCO Paris for booking, for waiting list, because we need 2 years before we able to be inscribed as before we could submit the dossier. We can't submit the dossier immediately, so that will be after 2 years. Then promosi is promotion. What other countries did? They will have a lot of publication to promote their site before the nomination. They will have a lot of exhibition, a lot of seminars regarding the site, just to promote the importance of the site, just to convince UNESCO that our site is qualified for the listing. So a lot of work before and after we submit the nomination to UNESCO. So that's it. Thank you very much.